Hey everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger, and this is our weekly Middle East update. It's February 20th, and we're going to look back on the events that have transpired this busy week. You know, I held off as long as I possibly could because the winds of war are definitely a gale at this point in time. And we don't know from hour to hour what's next, but we'll do our best at this point in time, and we'll give you information that we're getting from a variety of sources from the Middle East. And so we always start with our news bites. We'll jump into that, but just a reminder that what's behind me here, the PDF PowerPoint, is available on the YouTube page. So you can just click that, and then the head won't be there, and you'll be able to take in all the information, because most times we don't have enough time for the YouTube to cover everything, but it will be in the PDF. So our news bites this week. You probably know this by now, but nearly 1/3 of the United States Navy's fleet is now deployed and is sitting off the coast of either Iran in the Persian Gulf or Israel. Amazing to think about the firepower that we have right now, right at this minute. Senator Lindsey Graham said at a recent press conference in Tel Aviv, after meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, that there literally is no gap between what Bibi wants and what Trump wants, because we just hear a lot of noise back and forth. But this is from Lindsey Graham. I'm hearing that Trump has set another one of those deadlines, red lines, or whatever. I know he's considering now a limited strike in order to force Iran into a nuclear agreement. So the deadlines are set. And from what I'm seeing, interestingly enough, those deadlines are around the time of, drumroll please, Purim. So within 5, 6, 7 days or whatever, we will celebrate Purim. And just a reminder, location, Iran. Desired annihilation of the Jewish people, Haman. Heroes, Mordecai, Esther. I don't think it's a coincidence. Well, moving on, the United States military has effectively completed all the preparations they need to begin a sustained military campaign against Iran. This is from the CBS News reported on Wednesday. And just like I mentioned, we have Purim. Just so you know, we are now on the second or third day of Ramadan. So it has begun as well. So needless to say, interesting times in which we're living. Now, Jack Hibbs, the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, somebody that we look to for trusted information. It was a gut punch when I heard this, but he begins with saying, "Pray that I am wrong." Wow, that was a dramatic intro. And then he just simply says, you know, as you read scripture, as you look at prophecy, the one thing that's noticeable is that the United States is not identifiable in the last day of prophecies. And then he goes on to say, but Iran is. And again, this is from Jack. I have a weird, nefarious feeling about what's taking place with so much of our armed forces outside of Iran's borders. And I realize that scripture teaches that if your trust is in chariots, in your military force, you're on thin ice. We know that America is long overdue for judgment. Could this possibly be the time We don't know what Iran has, what they're capable of. But what if? And then he goes on to say, and I hope and I pray that I am wrong. Wow. Okay, winds of war. Once again, some things from, again, trusted sources. Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State. We know the Iranian regime isn't going to give up its ballistic missiles or its support for terrorism or its efforts to obtain nuclear weapons. It's not going to be negotiated. Something must be done. Trump is making every effort to find a solution, but ultimately, this regime is, and this is Pompeo, irredeemable. Lindsey Graham on Iran. There's planning for, the planning's all been done. Decisions have been made. All these ships that are coming here, they're not coming here because it's a nice time of the year and we've got good weather. Fox News, the U.S. has issued an ultimatum to Iran. Either curtail the nuclear program or face the, quote, other options. The negotiations in Geneva have failed. And then a former general, leader of the sitcom or whatever, General Hayward, he adds, and I thought this was interesting, he said, U.S. forces now have the capability to dismantle the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard leadership, rapidly. If you're targeting the IRGC and you want to go after their headquarters and their facilities, you can probably do that in a matter of hours. So what will this limited strike be? If it is that, the nuclear sites, the ballistic missile sites, or do you go for the heart of the IRGC, the leaders, the Ayatollah, for a regime change? Once again, winds of war are blowing and we don't know. A couple other things before we end. Turkey. That's another country that we know is in last days prophecy. But the former Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, he warned on Tuesday that Turkey is now becoming a central strategic challenge for Israel. And he basically is declaring, hey, bottom line is Turkey is the new Iran. And Bennett says that the Turkish president, Erdogan, represents a calculated and expanding danger to Israel's security. And then All Israel News, Joel Rosenberg, a quote from him, the president is clearly making a final offer. It's one offer. Eliminate the terror proxies. This is it. Okay, this is the bottom line. This is what Trump is saying. Eliminate the terror proxies. Stop the ballistic missile program. Limit the range of the ballistic missiles so they can basically only operate within Iran, and no nuclear weapons program. And everything that's there, enriched uranium, has to leave. That's it. That's Trump's mandate in a sense. And I think by now, everybody should realize that when Trump speaks this clearly, he means what he says. And then again, another trusted voice from Israel, Amit Segal, he writes, one recent development is the increased likelihood of the IDF being involved. What initially looked like a one-man show with Israel's assistance now appears to include Israel on stage. Rather than splitting the target bank equally, it's possible that the two actors, that is U.S. and Israel, will specialize. Israeli forces will go and attack the ballistic missile program, while the U.S. targets government and military infrastructure and nuclear sites. So he goes on to say, so with all of this, are the negotiations that are taking place simply a farce? And he says, not exactly. Trump is exploring his options, but it's Iran. And Iran seems to believe that it can keep the U.S. in negotiation purgatory. So we're seeing Trump ratchet up. As I mentioned, the winds are blowing strongly, and it's moving rapidly. And I think within the next week to 10 days, something is going to happen. If this war happens, he goes on to say, believe me, there won't be any need for investigations to find out the situation regarding Iran's weapons of mass destruction. So this, when it happens, if it happens, will not be limited in a Band-Aid. And our friend Tucker, I'm done with Tucker and Candace, but because of the fact that they have the ears of a younger generation, I have to pay attention. So, Tucker went to Israel to meet with, to interview Mike Huckabee. And Huckabee basically said, hey, instead of talking about me, why don't you just come and let's talk together? We have not seen the interview or whatever, but, Tucker is gone. That was yesterday. And now he's complaining about how he was treated in the airport. And then all the reports that I see is one lie after another after another. So that's the bottom line. And, as we wrap up, my wife and I, we've watched a lot of sort of films and programs that have come out of the Middle East. Fauda is one that everybody is probably aware of. The other one is an amazing series called Tehran. And it's got to do with a Mossad agent that's planted inside of Iran, in Tehran. And it's all about the nuclear program and the subterfuge and the things that's taken place. What's interesting, and I think it's like on season 2, maybe even season 3, but the producer, Dana Eden, the producer of the Emmy award-winning series, she was found lifeless. She was found dead in her hotel room in Athens this last week while filming the next season. Coincidence? We don't know. I've read that there were pills that were found in the room. I've read that there were bruises on her neck, and the body's been transferred for an autopsy. But the times that we're living, it's a head scratcher. We're still going to have to wait and see regarding all that. So, as I mentioned, that's our report for this week. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for wisdom for President Trump and for Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. And unless something breaks immediately over the next couple of days, we'll be back with next week's Middle East update, either on Thursday or Friday. So with that, God bless you and shalom.